Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Extreme Rules of 2012. And I'm basically going to go off and just start with the beginning of the show here. The Randy Orton Kane match, Falls Count Anywhere match. I did like this match in general. I thought it was a well done, well paced match. I like the usage of pretty much a fair amount of the arena there. They used the crowd, they used some of the backstage area, they used the area where you'd have the superstars. I like their little thing to get Zack Ryder in there to try to get a little bit of revenge on Kane, of course to somewhat no avail. But those couple tidbits I liked. I was all right with the match ending in the ring the way it did. You know, with Randy Orton pretty much RKO with the RKO on the chair. I was all right with how that ended. Like I said, I felt it was a well-paced match, well done match. That was a very good way to start off the show. With the next match, this was one that I wish they didn't really do on pay-per-view yet. I figured they could have waited another month or so and then maybe done it on pay-per-view, which was the Brutus Clay versus Dolph Ziggler match. Now, granted, they did definitely do a little bit more with Brutus Clay. They let Dolph Ziggler have a little bit more offense on him than most of his other opponents have had so far. That was nice to see. It was nice to see. This was probably one of the better matches they've done versus just having like a 30-second squash match with people with Brutus Clay. So the match itself wasn't too bad. Nothing great, of course. The next match after that, the IC title match with Big Show and Cody Rhodes, which was made a tables match during the preview show. Honestly, I mean, I know the match was a bit short and everything, but I like the way that they found a creative way to, you know, have Cody Rhodes put Big Show through a table and actually win the match. So I was actually okay with the way they did it. Sure, it comes off as a little bit weak, but it was a creative way of doing it. It makes it, yes, it makes it fluky, but it can potentially go into another match down the road at some point in time versus it being an ending type match for their feud. I have definitely been liking their feud. I wouldn't mind seeing one more match out of this. Like I said, this one was a little bit quick, and maybe would have come off a little bit weak to some people. But I like the creativity way of you know, having Cody Rhodes getting Big Show to go through a table so Cody could win the match and win the IC title back. So I was all right with that. I believe what was up next was the World Heavyweight title match, which was 2 out of 3 falls. And this match itself was brilliantly paced, brilliantly done. Of course, the first fall was going to be the longest fall of the match. The second, and I was all right with how short the second fall was, because of how they set up the ending of the first fall with Daniel Bryan getting himself DQ'd, and then he would put the label lock on and disable Sheamus after that. So that was a good way of getting those two falls in there. I felt they were brilliantly done, and of course the third fall, you know, having Sheamus try to fight himself back out of there to win the match. I felt like it was well done. I also, of course, the selling of his arm injury was done pretty well as well. And I felt like that the match itself, it was what they kind of wanted. I think this is the match that these two have been wanting to do for the longest time, but have never been given that opportunity because of either last year at WrestleMania or this year's WrestleMania or any of their other times. So I think they put on a really good show, and I thought it was just very well done in my own personal opinion. Next up was apparently they just randomly threw Ryback into the pay-per-view for no apparent reason. I don't feel like he was ready. I don't think they feel like he's actually ready for pay-per-view, especially since they're still having him face local guys. On pay-per-view, what's the point of having one of your guys, you know, going up against two local guys, because you know exactly what's going to go down here. Pay-per-view is supposed to be a little bit for matches that are a little bit more than that, but they obviously went there. They felt he was ready. I don't think he was ready. That would be but that's my own personal opinion on that. Didn't really. It was a squash match. Of course, I didn't really care for it. But that's pretty much all I have to say on that. And it was one of the few down points of the show as well. Same with the way having Brutus Clay and Dolph Ziggler on the show for their match, where it could have been done somewhere else at that point in time. Those were the only two real down points I had found on the show. And there's a third. I'll get to that a little bit later. The next match was CM Punk and Chris Jericho. Once again, this was a brilliantly done match. These two put on a great match at WrestleMania, and they do it again here tonight. It was just overall great from beginning to end. The only thing that I might have wished was maybe Chris Jericho actually get the win or get the nod for once in this feud. And well, matter of fact, a pay-per-view win himself, because he hasn't had one since he's come back. But overall, I'm not disappointed with the ending of the match, and the match itself was just great. After that was Nikki Bella defending the Divas Championship. Obviously, they took Beth Phoenix out of the match, and they, of course, gave a surprise opponent. Eve said it wasn't going to be Karma, and, well, unfortunately, it wasn't Karma. In some senses, Layla came back last night from her knee injury that she had taken some time off from. It's good to see her back in there. She obviously ended up winning the Divas title. Usually they'll do that when you have a surprise coming back onto the pay-per-view. They'll have them win the match and win the match and potentially win the title. I'm okay with that. Me personally, I'm more looking forward in the Divas area for Karma to come back versus Layla to come back, but it's great to see her back as well. Good to see her come off her knee injury, and they didn't put on a horrible match, but then again, it wasn't anything great. It was an extremely short match as well. After that was the main event, which was Brock Lesnar and John Cena in an Extreme Rules match. And honestly, I did definitely like the change of pace. This definitely felt more like, just two people fighting versus it being like your typical wrestling match that you would normally see. So I like the different feel that they gave for this match. Obviously, they were playing Brock Lesnar as, more of a legit fighter and playing him up as being more cocky as well. Also, the spot towards the end of the match where he jumps off the stair, puts an elbow to Cena's head, and then accidentally falls over the top rope himself looked pretty sick to me. But in all honesty, I've said this in other videos in the past, I could care less about Brock Lesnar coming back in at this point in time, and I'm okay with the result of him losing the match. The way they set up the finish, they just in a way they did definitely use a wrestling area for that to make him lose. He got cocky, got caught with a fist in the with the fist that was wrapped up with a chain by John Cena, and then got the attitude adjustment on the steel stairs. I was all right with that personally. I'd be happy if they made him lose every match, but that's just me personally. But the match overall, I felt like you definitely got a good, different feel. Something maybe the WWE has definitely needed was a different type of feel match. This felt more like a fight versus just a wrestling match. So it came off extremely well to me on the pay-per-view itself. Overall, I felt the pay-per-view was really good. Was actually really good. If I would have to give this one a score, I would definitely give it probably about a 7.5 out of 10. It was, you had a few little down points in there, just mostly because of matches that weren't advertised with Brutus Clay and Dolph Ziggler in the Ryback match. Those were kind of down points because they weren't advertised and they didn't really turn into anything great to begin with. But you had great matches with Orton and Kane, Punk and Jericho, Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, and the Lesnar Cena match was extremely good as well to its own right. So overall, like I said, I give it about a 7.5 out of 10. That's pretty much all I have to say about WWE Extreme Rules for this year's Extreme Rules. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I do thank you for watching.